Hey there, Schlinsky here for Prospecting on Demand. In this video, I'm going to be breaking down for you my 10 lessons after recently eclipsing the 1,000 sales audit mark. Now, what I'm going to do is you're going to be able to see the 10 right here in a screenshot of the post I recently did on Facebook. You can also go ahead and actually read the post. In the comments below of this video, I put the hyperlink to that Facebook post, and in this video, I'm going to break down each one by one. Now, the 1,000 sales calls that I have reviewed over the last 3 to 5 years essentially are mostly for marketing services and coaching programs, specifically selling PPC advertising on Facebook, Google AdWords, website design, graphic design, social media management, and of course coaching programs ranging from $1,000 up to $10,000 and $25,000. Now the average sales rate for each of these calls is just around the $1,500 to $3,500 mark, so you have some clarity as to where these numbers are. Now I'll say this before we dive in, the numbers that are provided here are data driven, but I do want you to take them with a grain of salt. We did our absolute best to track these diligently, but they're certainly not perfect. It's ultimately just to provide value to you, so I hope you learn from this. If you have any questions, feel free to comment below and engage with us. We're here for you and happy to support. Let's start with number 10. Here it is. 45-minute average call time. Now, most of the calls I listened to were either like 10, 20-minute quick demos, yes or no's, and then there was several that kind of made this a longer average call time that would be like 1 hour and 30 minutes or 1 hour and 40. What you should be looking for and learning from this insight is that your call should be about 20, 25 minutes of qualifying, and then no more than 15, 20 minutes for your offer, objection handling, and pricing. Now, if it ends up being a little bit longer, no harm, no foul. I've done plenty of 1 hour calls myself, but it's just something to consider. Let's move on to number 9. Now, number 9 is that 40% of the people I have worked with have offered a refundable deposit. Now that means 60% of the calls I listened to about did not offer any refundable deposit. Now, if you make a refundable deposit, the offer framework is very easy. You just tell them you will not reach out to any of their potential competitors. You will set up the campaign for them, so when they are ready to make the rest of the investment, you press go, and you will schedule your follow-up to identify whether or not they're ready to start. The refundable deposit is a fantastic methodology to get paid on the first call, or to help a straggling lead actually make a commitment and allow them, if necessary, to refund it. Less than 10% of the calls that I reviewed that ended up getting a refundable deposit ended up refunding it in the first place. Most of them ended up continuing, because here's the framework. When someone pays you with their credit card or on PayPal, finally makes the decision to invest, even if it's a refundable deposit, you're risk mitigating for them and helping them overcome the most difficult aspect of buying from you, which is physically buying, taking their wallet out and paying you. Once they have paid you, even if it's a refundable deposit, their mindset goes from, should I pay for this, to why should I continue this investment? Because they already started. The numbers prove it. Please implement the refundable deposit into your model. Okay, let's move on to number 8. Number 8 is the prove it and trial period. Just about 10% of the calls I listened to offered this prove it or trial period. This is not my recommendation. I'm not a big fan of this model, but a lot of people in this space, either in coaching or in marketing, do. Whether it's because you're kind of lazy in the sales process and you just want to prove it, or you're kind of brand new and just want to prove it. Either way is fine. There's 2 ways that I've seen this done. The first way is that you get paid like $300 for management just for your time, nothing more than that, and then they pay for the ads. Another way I've seen it is that people just pay for the ads directly. The worst case scenario, and I never ever want you doing this, is you paying for someone else's ads. There's no reason for that. Please don't do that. Now, only about 1 out of every 4 clients that did the prove it period ended up converting into a real full-time client. Some people will listen to that stat and be like, that's unbelievable. I'm incredible at ads. I can definitely get more than 1 out of 4 to convert. That's how I should do my sales moving forward. If so, feel free to do it and let me know how it goes. But more than likely, the reality is there's a reason only 25% continue. It's because they never really had the intention of paying you $1,000, $1,500, or $2,500 ever, unless you just knocked it out of the park right away with a $300 to $500 trial, which is just not enough time. The number 7 lesson is the quick start bonus. Now, this is not my favorite positioning, but a lot of people have done this. About 60% of the calls I listened to offered either waiving of the setup fee or lowering the price if they took action right now. I really don't like that positioning because it kind of makes you feel like you're price gouging the prospect and forcing them in a scarcity or urgency that's kind of like fabricated. I'm not a big fan of it. And the point is here, the numbers don't really prove it to be very efficient, frankly. About 60% of the calls I listened to offered this type of waiving or quick start bonus. And there was no real difference between the people that offered it versus the people that were staunch in their price. I would probably not offer it ongoing. Let's talk about number 6. Number 6 is a really important lesson here. The visual aid makes a massive difference in the calls. Now, a lot of people I listened to had a visual aid, but frankly, not enough. And the people that did have a visual aid, even simply one slide, had a 2-to-1 close ratio. A couple quick ideas for your slide deck that I think you'll find really valuable. Number 1, a 3 to 5 step process, actually breaking down what you do. Number 2, your onboarding scenario. So like, hey, this is what we're gonna do. You're gonna pay the invoice. Then week 1, we're gonna have this. Week 3, we're gonna be live. Week 6, we're gonna do this reporting, etc. Really valuable. And then finally, the ROI calculation. If you have those visual components in your sales deck, you're gonna close at a much higher ratio. And like I said, people using a visual aid closed at nearly a 2-to-1 clip. It's incredibly valuable. I strongly advise it. Please implement this, okay? Number 5 lesson. Now, this number 5 lesson is really hard to quantify, and it's frankly just an opinion, and it's very subjective, but I've listened to a lot of sales calls. I feel really confident in my sales ability and in coaching sales. If I was to identify like one not like intangible aspect to being successful in sales, it's confidence. It's really believing that you're world-class at what you do. And I think a lot of people toe this line between confidence and arrogance, not feeling confident enough in what they do, or not wanting to push, or feeling like they're being too salesy. I think, frankly, if I could just tell you straight up, more people have sold by just telling someone straight up, I got you, I can do this, let me help you, let me work with you. Just be confident. Do it. Do it! Lesson number 4 is that less than 40% of these calls actually closed in one call. So yeah, unfortunately, most of these calls didn't end up closing in one call. Obviously, that's my model, that's what I coach, that's what I'm all about, but I wanna make this point clear. I don't care if you do 10 calls if necessary to close the deal. I just want you to be efficient in your offering. If you know how, in a sales call, to qualify and make an offer, if you don't get paid on the first call, that's totally fine, but offer a refundable deposit. If you don't get the refundable deposit, fine, book the follow-up call. It's not a big deal, but just don't allow people to continue to string you along with the same bull crap objections over and over and over again. And speaking of objections, the perfect segue to number 3. Here's the 3 most common objections I get. Let me know if you got these as well. Number 1, the partner objection. I want to talk to my husband, my partner, my wife, my dog, my cat, my friend, my animals. I want to make sure that 100% everyone agrees with me that this is the right fit. I'm probably sure you've heard that one before. Number 2 is I don't have the money to do it. And number 3, I've been burned before. Let's break down each one of these very quickly and simply so that you have a method to overcome them. Number 1, the partner objection. There's 2 really easy ways to handle this. Number 1, hey, is your partner available now? Let's get them on the call. I'd love to chat with them also, because if you leave this call and try to explain my service to them, what's gonna happen is you're gonna have difficulty with their answers and questions, and we're gonna kind of lose our momentum here. Can we chat together? Most of the time they'll say they're not available, no big deal, but if they are, you got a good opportunity. The next thing to do is ask, hey, like if this was your sole decision, would you be moving forward? Do you want this? If they say yes, great, refundable deposit, get on a call with their team, close the deal. If not, you still have work to do, so make sure that you work them and say, look, if you're not convinced yet, why was your partner? There's gonna be no difference. Why don't we finish this conversation to go from there? Okay, so that's that objection. The second objection, like I said, not having enough money, right? So not enough money, they don't have a money gun, money doesn't grow from their garden, totally fine. But here is how we handle the objection, okay? If they say they do not have enough money, you can hit them with this. Look, I get it. I understand that you want to invest in something that requires money in order to generate you more opportunities to make more money. But the problem is if you don't make that investment, if you don't take that leap of faith, you're just gonna stay stuck in this vicious cycle. The opportunity cost is too great not to make the investment now, because if I follow up with you in 30 or 60 or 90 days and nothing's changed, then how are you gonna make that investment then? Now we're just gonna be 90 days into the hole, and even worse for the wear on our revenues. The reality is this: when we need money and we believe in something, we make it happen always. And I think, frankly, this is the right thing to make it happen for. Now, there's other methods to do this, but that's kind of my most famous or most common one. You can have them do PayPal credit. You can have them take a loan out. There's lots of different models. I'm not going to dive into that here today. We'll do a separate objection handling video, but hopefully that helps. Number 3 objection was I've been burned before. I have like a whole spiel about this, but I'll just keep a simple version of it here, which is, look, I understand you've been burned before. That absolutely sucks. I'm sorry that happened. What I want to do is make that burned experience actually a benefit for us moving forward, because frankly, here's the reality. Even though you've been burned before, you had a problem, you tried to solve it, it didn't work. That sucks. I know it hurts. I can completely resonate with that. But here's the reality. To this day, however many days or months later, you still have that problem. And just because you've been burned before doesn't mean you can quit. You cannot give up, and that's why you're on this call. I want to use what happened in this previous client relationship to understand why you were burned, and then use it as motivation and optimization to ensure that you never get burned in working with us. Okay, so here we come down to the final 2 lessons that I have. Number 2, super important. Those who offered a single package, not our bronze and our silver and our premium package. I'm talking about a single package offer. Those who offered a single package in their sales deck closed at least 60% more. This number might be seriously much higher. It's just really hard to track, but I know for a fact that people are closing at a much higher volume when they're offering only one product. Just remember this, okay? When you are actually offering a product, you're giving them 3 potential responses. Ideally, we're getting a yes or a no, but the reality is you're probably getting a yes or a no and a maybe. When you offer them 3 packages, you're saying yes, no, or maybe to bronze, yes, no, or maybe to silver, yes, no, or maybe to gold or platinum. This is impossible. You're asking them to have 9 options to make a decision in one call. It's never gonna happen. You're the expert. Give them the expertise. Tell them what is the best for them. That doesn't mean price gouge them and how to make as much money out of them or squeeze them like a tube of toothpaste trying to get all their money out of them. That's not the right thing to do. Do what's right by them. Treat them the way you want to be treated in sales. That is how we successfully grow our businesses. That is how we create a better landscape in the economy for buyers and consumers. That's the model, okay? Very important. Single package. You're the expert. The number 1 lesson, do we want to hear it? I'm sure you do. That's why you're here still. Thanks so much. If you're here still, by the way, please hit that subscribe button and that like button. New videos every single Monday and Friday. So let's dive in. Let's talk about the number 1 obstacle, or number 1 lesson, excuse me, and it is the number 1 obstacle. The number 1 obstacle, without a question, that I have learned over these 1,000 sales audits, without a doubt, is that most people completely bungle and completely fumble the offer positioning framework. Now, here's what I'm going to do for you. In the actual post I made on Facebook, again, here's the screenshot. In the post I made on Facebook, in the comments below, I broke down exactly my framework for how to actually frame your offers. It is incredibly valuable. If you go in the comments below of this video, you can go to the Facebook post, look in those comments, and actually implement that framework yourself. But this is where most people screw up. This is really the reason why most people didn't get the 1 call closed, because they were just fumbling consistently in their offer framework. And I want to leave with this. Now, obviously, these numbers are skewed with one very important thing to consider, right? The asterisk of all of this is that if I am reviewing someone's sales call, it's likely because they want to improve. So some of these numbers are not really from people that are experts in sales yet. Soon enough, they will become, but several original calls that I'm including in these thousands of calls are frankly beginners or neophytes or someone that's not really well versed in sales. So consider that as you kind of understand these lessons, but I still think these are really valuable. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for giving me your time. I'll see you on the next one.